Three, two, one.
That's a good way to start. Welcome to the Narrowway Ministry Live podcast. Hopefully, I did it right in enough time for you all to to watch. Which I don't know how many people watch anyway, so it ain't like we have a gigantic crowd. But I do know that there are people in Poland and Korea, Philippines, India, Pakistan,
Hmm.
um, Alaska, Germany, um, and some places in the U.S. So they do listen. It ain't many, but there might be some people that watch on Facebook. Um, so anyway, I'll start this podcast the same way I do all mine, and I'll start it with prayer. Um, so I'll go ahead. Our dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you again for today, for allowing everybody, for myself in particular, to wake up, Lord, and to be able to enjoy the day that you gave. Also, Lord, I want to thank you for the work that and the way that you provided for the church, and kept it preserved for all that time for us to open. Lord, and I ask that you put a guard at my lips of clay, that I do not speak against you, God. And anybody that's listening, Lord, that needs prayer, you know their needs specifically. And I ask that you be with anybody, Lord, that needs you at this specific time, no matter where they are in the world. In Jesus' holy name I pray, amen. All right, so I will introduce you, James Ingerson, and you are a computer wizard.
Don't know if I'll go that far, but I'm pretty good with their computers. Honestly, on the networking side, I'm really better.
Yeah. All right. So basically, what I'll do is I'll just let you. We'll start off with talking about the hurricane
Hmm.
and the issues,
Hmm.
and you can just pretty much talk about anything that you want to talk about, and I can always circle it back to it
Cool.
is a ministry podcast, and I'll just circle around to faith and how it affects in relation to the Bible and
Hmm.
to those of faith. And again, now just to let you know, I'm not going to ask you any questions about that's your
Hmm.
personal business. So going on from here, if you want to take it, and I'll
Sure.
jump in and interject it, you drive, and
Sure. We can talk.
I'll ask you about 5 million questions per topic.
No worries, man. No worries. So yeah, hi, I'm James. I'm James Ingerson. I'm a resident of Bluefield, West Virginia. Uh, been here about 3 years. I've lived pretty much everywhere, including overseas. I was, I've been all over. So one of the things that we had happen to us last about this time last year is we had the after effects, the remnants of Hurricane Helen come through. When that hurricane came through, we did lose our power. Now, one of the things that I am very heavy into is being self-reliant. I look at everything as, that have faith, but at the same time, I want to be prepared and be,
Right,
that which you fear the most can meet you halfway there. So
right.
I like to prepare for that. So when we had the hurricane came through, we lost power, and one of the things that was really kind of amazing to me is how little when just the simple thing of power goes out, how little knowledge people have to continue to survive whenever your credit card doesn't work and
Mm,
whenever you can't buy food. I mean, the first 48 hours was pretty easy on everyone until the fridges started breaking down. By days
yeah.
5 and 6, everyone had moldy food and nowhere to eat. And one of the things that I always look at is from my standpoint and where I'm at is that I prepare for certain situations like this come. I do self-sustained gardening. I raise chickens.
Yeah.
We also do canning. We do preserving. We do you know freeze drying, dehydrating, and we also stockpile certain things. Now, one of the things that for what happened is when everything went down, we were one of the few people off of solar was able to maintain refrigeration. One of the reasons why is because I run 12 volt. I have multiple 12-volt fridges and solar panels that could provide enough power to run those fridges and freezers for up to 7 days, and since it was sunny afterwards, I mean almost indefinitely. So whenever one started having issues, I was able to talk to my neighborhood, because the other thing I believe in is in community. Uh, Community is very important to me, and I have the sense of community, because whenever you're in need, your community can't come and save you. So when the neighborhood, I started telling them to bring me whatever extra food they wanted to save, and we were able to preserve that in my 12-volt freezers. And at that point, we were able to provide food for our entire block for the entire 7 days by using what was left and what I could store and what I already had, preserved. We were able to find food. So I guess, I mean, when it came down that hurricane, the city wasn't there for us. FEMA wasn't there for us, which is our
Oh,
Federal
that's a
Emergency
joke.
Management. Yeah,
That's a joke.
the city had nothing to say other than good luck, y'all. Um, So I guess the end of my little speech there is that one of the things that you want to look at is that your community is going to be the one that you can come to, whether or not you know. And I'm a little bit for Bluefield, since I am in IT. I'm a little bit. I lean a lot more to the left than most of the residents of Bluefield, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the community's still there. We can have different opinions on everything, but the simple matter is we're all on this together. So we don't hold any animosity towards each other. We have conversations, and we have the conversations. We talk about the differences we have, but more importantly, we talk about where we align.
Right.
And you'll find that we align a lot more than we disagree.
Hmm.
So I guess my important message here when it comes to disaster strikes, I knew that might hit us a little bit, but we were not expecting the disaster. So disaster comes quick. Depend on the people that are close to you, depend on your community, make those connections beforehand, and understand that, when this happens, that nobody is completely alone, as long as you have the people in your community, regardless of what their belief system is, or even what their political spectrum. Because right now in the United States, we're highly divided across the board.
Yeah, I think that's about design, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
I don't think
definitely. As
I
long
don't
as you
think
hate
it's
me.
yep. Then we can't hate them, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I like that idea of the like the community self sustaining, where like small communities can have to be able to take care of themselves and each other, like
Hmm.
food and water. And you had that water thing, the
Yeah,
purification, or I
water
forget.
purification. I have enough to do the entire to support up to 75 people. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody could grow something different,
Hmm.
and but we should be able to take care of each other. But we, I think our neighborhood where you and I meet are,
Hmm.
um, everybody gets along great, minus one person.
Yeah.
And and if you if you can if you want to go into that, you can. I know we
Okay.
talked about foul language. I don't know how
Yeah,
you'll be able
I
to.
will avoid all that. But so here's the thing: is that like I said, I am believe is self-sustaining. I have a large garden, a very large garden, that last year, and the thing is since I work in infrastructure, so I work for the largest software company in the world. If you think of one, that's the one I work for. When it comes to what I do, and when you compare what I earn to most of the people in the small tiny community, it's not even close. So
Right.
I don't sell anything. I give everything away, and the reason why I garden is it's only me and my girlfriend that we don't eat it. We try to give it away. We have some college kids on the corner that are just starting out in life, and they are struggling to make ends eat. So we give most of our produce to them, and lettuce and tomatoes and carrots and peppers, and we also try to do that. And then with the other neighbors, what they ever, whenever they say, "Hey, I'm going to the store. Can you got any tomatoes?" Oh, sure, we got tomatoes. You want green beans? You want this?
Yeah.
We, we also work with the community, one of the stores down for a small time business that basically is in Bluefield, downtown Bluefield. My girlfriend actually sells her wares there. They have a small cafe there that they make rye bread, traditional rye bread. We also provide them herbs, and whenever they went to the store, they couldn't find herbs about 3 months ago, and they were able to come and ask us, "Hey, do you have any basil? Do you have any lemon thyme? Do you have that?" And we were able to just hand that to us. And one of the big things is that when we do this stuff, people like to, they want to feel like they, got to pay something, but we don't want anything because again, is uh, for me providing this stuff, it makes me feel good. It's a completely selfish reason because I feel like I'm doing something for the people and
Hmm.
for my neighbors and for the people around. I am one of the nicest people that you can meet, and it's
Yep.
because I believe in that community standards, and I believe that I can't. It's not fair that because of my life, how my life has gone, that I feel like I have a leg up on most people. Um, so I give it away. But anyway, so one of the things is with my garden is I do sustainable farming with the garden is I own chickens. So here's the thing to remember when you're dealing with sustainable gardening is that kitchen waste goes to the chickens. The chickens eat the chicken waste. The chickens have their waste, which goes to the garden, which feeds the plants, which feeds me and my
Hmm.
neighbors. Um, so we've been having this, and when we moved to Bluefield, West Virginia, chickens were allowed. They was in the city ordinance. Over time, they have banned them, and we still had our chickens, and we had them in our garage. Well, I mean, we need our garage for other things than chickens. So we built a nice coop for them outside, and we moved them out there. And we have one neighbor uh, who doesn't who doesn't follow the same belief system of community as I do. Uh,
Not at
has
all.
Yeah, so he has made it a point to make himself feel important by usually using the city government against his fellow neighbors.
Hmm.
And I became in his crosshairs because of the chickens. And at that point, they were up early one morning and they were making noise. He called the city on me, which then the city has decided informed me at that point that I'm not allowed to have chickens in the city limits. Well, here's the problem with all of that is that uh, I do a lot for my neighborhood and for my community, and I try to make myself available for my community. And because, again, I believe that for us, we need to work together to overcome. Because if everything falls apart, I'm an old man. I will not be able to self rescue myself in every situation. But however, as a whole, as a unit, we will be able to overcome anything that could come down. So by him doing this, he has eliminated basically if well, I got a meeting with the city manager. It's going to eliminate my chicken waste, which also is going to make me have to buy fertilizer for my chicken waste for my garden, which means there's no longer be organic unless I spend extra money for compost. But that one action, and the worst part about this is when I moved to Bluefield, the one thing is I want to practice sustained living. If I remove my chickens out of the equation, that puts me in a position where I possibly may end up having to move back to North Carolina and finding a community that aligns with my thoughts and my ideals. Um, Due to return to office, return to work stuff, it's a mess. So I'm going to fight with the city manager, but because one person is trying to destroy what I have, the amount of community that has came together for me and has sent letters through the city and called the city and has worked with us is amazing to me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my neighbors all around me have contacted the city, asked for favors, pulled it up, and the lesson I learned was, the guy that cooks you brisket is not the guy you want to F with at any point in time.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. But it's
Yeah.
good brisket.
Yeah, yeah, it's great brisket, but yeah, and I told him the other day whenever I became, which is something I need to watch out because again, I don't need to stoop to the level of anger that
Hmm.
that's pushes me into, and it's a fallacy of mine. And the other day it came to a head, and I yelled across the street, and I said, here's the thing: if everything in this neighborhood falls apart, and you need food, guess who will have it due to my chickens and through to my farming, and guess who won't have it? And that was
Hmm.
wrong. That was a wrong statement to make because again, I can't tell someone I won't feed them. I can't tell someone if they come to me with a need, I have to do as a human being on this planet, I have to do everything I can for them because that's just the responsibility we have.
You're correct.
And I feel bad that I did it, and I'm not. I do what I do always do is I'll try to improve, but he's got me at a rage point because of this that I have to watch. I have to really adjust and think about what I'm doing and what I'm saying because that's not the person I want to be.
Right.
I want to forgive, I want to forget, and I want to make, but the fact that I've been up researching city laws and the fact that my girlfriend has been crying because these are her pets, the fact that all of this has came down has put me in a place where I want revenge. And they say when a man goes out looks for revenge to always dig two graves
Yep.
because having revenge is not helpful to anybody. But yeah,
Mm.
so that's our neighbor. Bless his heart, which is the redneck way of saying you're an idiot. So,
Yeah. Well, we've had our own issues with that dude,
mhm.
right? So, and I like a lot of what the stuff that you're saying, and you can. And how does that for the people that are listening? There might be like five, but for the people that are listening, how does that involve the Bible, and how does this circle back to a ministry podcast? So, my answer to that would be obviously, there's going to be people that come across your path that no matter what you try to do for them, they're going to make life hard for you, right? And here you are trying to provide for the community at no cost to them, but at a major cost to you. Despite your difference in income, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you're given what you have, and that is a, um, and that comes circles back to Jesus and what he did, and what the disciples did, and giving when you don't really have it to give. You might have a little bit to give in that aspect, but I mean, you give everything away. So I mean, you're growing everything. You're all that cost is yours,
And I'm gladly pay it every time
right?
because
And
the feedback I get back and the neighborhood and the community I have, it doesn't. My water bill in the summer runs $175. You know, but again, it's not. It makes me feel better about the life I'm living.
right, and like I said, it's he that gentleman. He's and that's I had to think specifically about using that word gentleman, but
Mm.
he he pushes a lot of buttons intentionally, and he thinks it's funny, I guess, but he again, he's just one of them people, man, that you try to be good to, and they go and they cause you trouble, and at the same time, he's abusing
Hmm.
city, uh, throwing trash out
Yeah,
in
burning
somebody
trash.
else's, yeah,
Yeah.
burning trash, his tree fell over on a lady's house whose husband just died. And, he says he gave her the deductible, which I doubt, but
Mm-hmm.
not my business, I guess. But anyway, and made no effort to clean it up. And, bricks, I don't know if you've noticed, it fell off his house and
Mm-hmm.
busted and like hit her roof. He don't care.
Yeah.
We've sat there and watched him beer cans blow off his porch and roll down the road, and he does absolutely nothing to go get them. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, from top to bottom, this guy's just bad.
Yeah.
And nobody in the area, like you said, bless his heart, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's where you have to leave it with him. But again, that circles back to the Bible, and that you're giving what you can give. You're feeding people that may not be able to feed themselves. You don't know. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're given just to give. I know you gave my family um, just food and produce, and you've even got me to where I'm dedicating like a portion of my yard
Mm-hmm.
to growing and just letting God's creation grow. And
Which is
man, there's
amazing.
butterflies out there,
Mm-hmm.
flowers, bees, and the bees. It ain't like, oh, bees, they're honeybees. Unless you
Mm-hmm.
go over there bothering them, they're going to leave you alone.
Yeah. And
And
that's one of the
butterflies,
things.
it's beautiful.
We're all connected in this. And I mean, and that's one of the things is so we have a very large wildflower patch that I'm trying to nurse into being nothing but native to West Virginia and our area. It's we got some strays in there, but at the same time, the peace that this brings watching because I mean you got bees, yeah, bees are native, bees are one pollinator, but there's a million more of them that no one even look at.
Right.
I could sit there and watch them hit all of that primrose and hit all of those cone flowers and hit all those black eye Caesar, which are native. And also, I found that one thing that actually helped me was, everyone in America knows about Japanese beetles. Japanese beetles love beans. Now, the problem with Japanese beetles loving beans is that means they will strip your green beans or your pinto beans to the base of the vine. But by having that native garden growing on the other side of the house, I found out that the one thing that Japanese beetles like more than beans is primrose. So the Japanese beetles all collected on the primrose, leaving my my vegetables that I nursed and want to keep, allowing them to thrive without the Japanese beetles stripping them like they did last year. So there's benefits.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what a Japanese beetle looks like. I'm sure I've seen it, but
Yeah, they're just the ones that look all copperhead and they got all green and copper and they look all shiny
oh
metallic.
yeah,
Yeah, those are
yeah.
Japanese beetle. Those are invasive from Japan.
I thought they were June bugs. Is that the
No, the
same
June
thing?
bugs are the big green ones, but the ones that are coppery
Oh,
color, those are invasive and they destroy gardens.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, see, yeah, I didn't know that. But so, to move on, you're not originally from here, and
No, sir.
I know looks can be deceiving. A lot of people. That's why I get followed around at Walmart. I guess people think I'm stealing, and anytime I walk by somebody, like, they'll move over, they'll clutch their purse just because of the tattoos, I guess. But so you originally you've been everywhere,
Yeah, I've been
legit,
everywhere. I was
and
even.
your story's crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how much you want to go into or
I can go a
how
little
much
bit.
time you have.
Yeah, I got a little bit. I mean, I can give you a little bit. So yeah, originally I don't really have an original. I was born in a country called Guam, which is on a Navy base out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, right by Japan. My dad was in Vietnam War. I'm a product of a 3-day leave from Vietnam. My mom wanted to be close to my father and her husband, so she moved to Guam to make it possible for my father to come and have conjugal visits.
Wow. Yeah.
Uh, I lived in Guam for 2 years. From Guam, we were stationed in Florida. Then we went to Canada. We were stationed in Canada for a while. We were stationed in Oklahoma, Missouri. My dad got transferred to Los Alamos, which is where a lot of the nuclear This was all during. You got to understand, this is all during the Cold War when we were all going to be destroyed. So my dad was, worked on some of the missile silos and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah. See.
Uh, yeah, and we ended up in with White Sands. We ended up at the end of that journey. We ended up in a tiny little town called Lovington, New Mexico, right on the eastern border near. Basically, there's nothing near it, uh, by Odessa, Texas. And I was raised by, like I said, my dad was a Vietnam veteran, and that's where pretty much most of my formative years were, from like 8 till I turned 22. Um, I did when I was younger. I ended up getting my girlfriend pregnant in high school and dropping out of high school. Uh, we were married for until I was 23. She divorced, and that's where my oldest son came from. And after that, I dived into a deep depression and spent many years lost. Alcohol, drugs. Spent.
Yeah.
I was chasing a band called, Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana during the grunge years. This was the 92, 93. Ended up in Seattle, Washington. Spent a few months in Seattle, Washington. Burned through a lot of money on drugs and alcohol, and ended up bouncing into Sioux City, Iowa. Met. I love the middle country. The people is one of the things that's the most bad that I really love, and met some really nice people there. But I still had, drugs and alcohol as my primary thing.
Right.
I also had, haven't had to see my son now in probably a year and a half. And at that point, I went to go see my son, got drunk, and got in a party and got arrested.
Wow.
What I was arrested for was my brother, who at the time had a huge cocaine habit. Uh, well, he's still my brother, but
Right.
uh,
Yeah. Of course.
he got pulled over. And in them days, people don't understand the difference of the 80s and 90s versus the police and the law of today. My brother said he lost his license, gave him a social security number and name, and they arrested him, threw him in jail, took his fingerprints. He bonded out and beat town. I come in to see my son, got drunk, got in trouble. The police showed up. They ran my name, and they found that I had a open uh, failure to appear and an open charge of possession of cocaine, I believe it was, and possession of marijuana,
Right.
and driving under the influence. Now, I kept saying that, of course, it's not me. It wasn't me. I was in Sioux City, Iowa, and it wasn't me. But understand, I mean, I'm sure Murray will agree. How many times do you hear it wasn't me in a given day? You
Right.
know,
Yeah. That
and
ain't me.
yeah, that ain't me. That wasn't me. Anyway, so I got put in jail, and when I got put in jail, I finally got the detective come back, and the detective was able to look at the mug shots, and it wasn't me. He also looked at the fingerprints, and it wasn't me. However, now because of the court system, I cannot leave the state of New Mexico because
Wow.
until
So
my
you're
court
stuck.
date, I'm stuck. But I have a job in 1993 that pays 80,000 a year in Iowa, but I can't leave the state of New Mexico.
Right. Yeah. So basically, yeah, you're stuck.
Yeah. Well, and and it actually worked out for the better. But but of course, I had to call my job in Iowa and said I can't leave the state of New Mexico, so I have pending court case because they're going to have to throw all of this out. And what ended up happening there is it took about 8.5 months for them to clear all this up. In the meanwhile, is I ended up taking a job as a radio DJ for a local radio station.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I did a heavy metal show called After Dark with James and Danny, which was a heavy metal show. That's what I listened to at the time. I had long hair,
Right.
no beard, and all kinds of stuff.
You'd love
Um,
my buddy Dan. You really would.
and then I got drunk a lot, and that's the cool thing about being a DJ is I was able to get invited to all the parties because everyone wants a radio DJ to join the
Right.
party because they don't start till they come in. But one of the problems was that I drank a lot, a whole lot. We're talking half a fifth of rum a night. and just basically there was no value in my life. There was nothing. It was just go to work, make jokes, do my radio show, go to a party, get drunk, and then go home and finish off the bottle and then go to sleep. Um, a friend of mine called me. Well, it wasn't really a friend. A guy I went to high school with me called me out of the blue one day and said, "Hey," it didn't even call me. He called my parents, and he was like, because my parents live in the same town. Said, "Hey, can you come out? Can you go pick my pickup truck up from my mom's house and drive it to where I am in Port Arthur, Texas?" And he's like, "I'll pay you, 300 bucks to do that, and then I'll get you a bus ticket back to Hobbs." And he was like, and I haven't seen this guy in many years. I know that after he came back from Djibouti, no, it was the other Black Hawk Down. He was in that mess.
Somalia.
Yeah, he was in that mess. I know when he came back, he wasn't the same as when he left. But I said, "Sure, dude. I will go hang out a couple of days and I'll come back." So I picked this truck up and I drove it out there. Got out to Port Arthur, Texas. Met Janis Joplin's uncle. Pretty cool. My
No
buddy.
way, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. His name's, we called him Job. My buddy was in an actual circus carnival, and he was like sitting there, and he was like, "Hey, let's go out and get drunk. Let's go party." So I went out and partied with him for a couple of nights. He said, "Why do you want to go back? You ain't got nothing in Hobbs." And then my court date was already cleared up. There was nothing, I mean, I had nothing there. He's like, "Why don't you just join the carney with me, and why don't you just take come with us? It's party every day, man. There ain't nothing happening in the party, ain't nothing happening in the carney." So I became a carney worker. Uh,
Wow.
I worked for the what's called the dozers, which is the little feet that push quarters out the front.
Yeah.
I ran that game, and some of the stuff I learned about humanity and people there. uh, Addiction's bad,
Oh
but
yeah, very.
I mean, I've watched kids with no shoes on, with parents giving me hundreds and hundreds of dollars to win a teddy bear that I buy for $8.
Yep. For those
And the
coins
hmm
that push out so you can win the quarters or whatever.
hmm And in order for the to win our largest prize, we had it down to a science. In order to win our largest prize would cost you around $500, give or take a few 20s and
Wow.
30s. That teddy bear, the largest prize, cost us $12.50.
Oh man, that's awful.
Yeah, and I would encourage people to pay that money. I use certain tricks to make them want to pay me money. Um, Took a lot of money from a lot of poor people, and that's what the carnival does. They bring the carnival in, they take a lot of money, then they leave.
Right. And there's a lot of issues here with the carnival,
Hmm
and the way they commit crimes while they're here.
hmm
Not nothing like, I'm not
Oh
saying
yeah.
we're similar.
No, no. I mean, I didn't do that. I just got drunk a lot and took a lot of people's money. As you know, I have a unique personality where I can make friends really quick with people that walk up to my thing. And there's certain tricks that you can use. Basically, you're a hustler at that point. Um, so I would do my show during the day. I make a bunch of, I make my boss a bunch of money. He would pay me $20. I'll take that down, go buy a sandwich at a fifth of rum, and get drunk. That's essentially what my life was at the carney. Uh, this went on for about 9 months, I guess. Well, not even that long. Probably 7 months, 6 months, 7 months mark. And we were doing a carnival show in a little town called Salem, Virginia, which is a little town not too far from here. And their big
Yeah.
summer show. And I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't. I felt awful. Was a drunk. Then there was no meaning to it. So I ended up walking off the carnival with a duffel bag full of clothes and was homeless. lived on the streets of Roanoke, and managed to work for a company called Manpower. And they got me a job, and they were asking if I knew anything about computers. Now, one of the things when I was in 19, 20, before I turned 21, during that period of marriage, I was really heavily into computers, really heavily. I was a nerd. I played with, when the internet came out, in 91, I was one of the first people in our town to have internet access. I learned a lot. And this company was asked, the Manpower, the temporary agency was asked if I knew anything about computers. I'm like, yeah, I know a lot about computers. And they're like, we got you a job for you for Transcript, which is a company in Roanoke that sends out mailers to your junk mail. And what they needed, it was somebody to tape reams of paper together for them old Daisy Wheel dot matrix printers. And basically, you have one ream, you need it to continue, so you don't have to stop the printing. You tape the paper to the other ream so that it runs through seamlessly. Uh,
I'd probably mess that up.
it's a pain. It's not. It's not. It has nothing really to do with computers. It's just that, basically, it's a pain. You got to tape them exactly identical. Okay, so but now at least I have a job. So what I ended up doing was sleeping underneath the air conditioning unit outside of the factory that did that. And one morning, my boss came in, and I was washing myself in the office sink because since I lived behind the place, when the cleaning crew left, I would just go clean up. And he saw me, and it wasn't the office sink; it was the men's bathroom sink, is what it was. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I mean, he's like, "Why are you doing? What are you doing?" And then I was like, "Nothing, man. I'm sorry. I just made a mess." And he was like, "You're homeless." And when you start looking at it, and I was, racially, he was a large African American gentleman. His name was William. Uh, I was raised in New Mexico that I never really hung out with an African American. I never been around. We were just, farm country. Uh, he took me in. He gave me a place to live when no one else would. He let me move into his house in the predominantly black part of Roanoke. He took me to work. He allowed me to save money to get an apartment on my own, and he was just a good friend. And that was my first experience of different races. Honestly, uh, from there I continued to work there. Then I ended up working there for several years, built up to where I had my own apartment and had everything. And I ended up quitting that job because they decided to move the factory. The one thing I didn't have was I no longer had a driver's license. It was revoked due to failure to pay child support. So I didn't have a driver's license, so I rode a bike to work every day. And they moved the facility off, way to, it's like, 15 miles away. And in order to take a bus there, it would have cost. I would have to get up at like 5 a.m. So I took another job loading trucks, packing trucks, for U.S. Food Service, packing trucks, and met a girl whose parents were multimillionaires. Ended up dating her for a while. She told me to quit my job and live with her. And so I did that. And that was pretty good times. But at the same time, I was not productive and still a drunk. uh, Ended up what happening is we were laying around one day after partying the night before, and she said, "Well, why don't you do something? I mean, why don't you, I'm like, I can't just lay here." She's like, "Well, do something, go to school." And I'm like, "For what?" And she's like, "Well, maybe you can go to school and, become something different." And that's something important is that, it's never too late to become something different. Uh, so I ended up going to a tiny college named Dominion College for System Engineering and Computer Science. Um, I was, since I had already done it for a while, I ended up being the network administrator for that college while I was in that school. So after I went to my class during the day, at night I worked at the school and rolling out their new hardware and setting up their networking. It's kind of like, it's like you find something you're good at and you just do it. I never dreamed I would be in computer systems or security or anything like that. I always wanted to be a forest ranger, as you could tell. Uh,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
and I just ended up found something I could do, and I did okay at it, and I just kept doing it. This worked out for until I graduated because I was a work study student. They can no longer pay me to be a network administrator, but they end up having a opening for a college instructor in networking and computer science. So I changed and became a instructor during the day and their network administrator at night, which I worked through there, did that for several years, and then they decided to close the college, did it for a few other colleges, became disappointed in the for-profit education system and bounced out of that and went into the first major company I worked for, and then have been working for that, including up to doing cybersecurity upgrades overseas and spending multiple years in Europe doing cybersecurity, which led me to the job I have now. Um, I guess I mean that's a pretty long story. I know there's a lot more in there, a lot more things, but that kind of gives you the gist. I guess the whole thing on that is don't cut yourself and think that what you are now today is what you're going to be tomorrow. Like I said, I went from being homeless to work for one of the largest software companies in the world.
Yeah, and just your knowledge
Hmm.
and self-made 100%.
Hmm.
And your brother, he's went on to do really good things too, right?
Yes, yes. My brother is what works as one of the higher ups in the oil company.
So you did cybersecurity for
Hmm.
certain like governmental that you probably
Yes,
don't want to mention.
yeah. Critical stuff.
Right, yeah, like stuff that we probably don't need to know about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The things that
Right.
make the communities fall apart are the things that I did cybersecurity for.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, we'll go ahead and just your story's pretty much told itself. And again, related to the Bible, you pretty much made the point. I don't have to circle back. You did it, and I know you and I've talked quite a few
Hmm.
times and just, and that's not a drop in the bucket really of your
Hmm.
capability, you know. So if, you want to go into a little bit of, before we end, you want to go into a little bit of like certain things using your ability with computers that the people that may be listening can watch out for. Just give
Hmm.
me a
Oh
few
yeah.
things like this little sneaky stuff people do.
Oh yeah, yeah, and also just to clarify is eventually I did quit drinking. I don't party anymore. I'm just an old man now, and I enjoy my chickens, and
Chickens.
I enjoy my barbecue, and I enjoy my garden. When honestly on that, the thing that made me stop that it was that it stopped being worth it. It stopped being fun.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that.
But yeah, so when it comes to cybersecurity, your first thing that's going to look out for is that. So number one, you. Most time when people get into your systems, it's going to be because you allowed it. They use very sneaky tricks. So, like I can say something for your viewers right now. Do you use separate passwords for all of your stuff? Most people have one password for everything. Now, here's the problem is that when you're dealing with large corporations and when you're dealing with cybersecurity, the question is not um, are we going to be hacked? It's when we're going to be hacked. Um, it's going to happen, and when they do, one of the primary things they go for is the database. So when they get the database of password hashing, which they could turn into passwords, once they find one that they can find your Facebook password, then they can find your bank, then they can find your email. Having your email, they could change your stock account to your email. All of these things, once one gets penetrated, then it's ends up being they get the whole keys to the kingdom. So what my advice is that if you don't use separate passwords for everything, at least use a extremely long one for your email and for your bank information. But your email is probably will be more important because again, if you got access to your email, then you have access to simply go in there and tell send me a reset code to all of your other stuff. So that's something to definitely pay attention to. Other thing is there's something on your devices called two-factor authentication. Always use two-factor authentication. And which will be where they text your phone before you could get in, stuff like that. Uh, Look at that stuff. When you get an email and it says that you're about to blah blah blah, something bad's going to happen. uh, Usually with the time limit, how they're going to take over your stuff, it's usually fake, you know. And the problem is they try to bait you to come in. Always read those emails, make sure that they're coming from who you think. Because as a network engineer, I can build a website and I could spoof your bank information and I could send you to that with a redirect that you won't know unless you pay attention to it. You type in your username and password. Now I have that, and I know what bank that you're going to. Say if it's, Wells Fargo, I could spoof all that and try to make you come into my realm. And once you come into my realm, then I got recording of everything you do. So pay attention to it. And how you could do that is look at where the email's actually from. So it may say blah, 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 Wells Fargo, but click on it and open up what that email actually is. And it'll probably be like a Gmail account or something like that. Also, look for misspellings, and just bad grammar in general. If you get an email from a bank or something saying that your account's been compromised, they're trying to make you scared to log in to check your account. Look for bad grammar. When you highlight a link, it'll show you where that link is going. When in doubt, you know, especially like with your bank, call your bank and ask them what this means. Another thing, if anyone's asking you for Xbox cards or for Google Pay cards or for
Yeah.
Amazon cards, any of that, if anyone is asking for that stuff, they are conning you. The company I work for, a lot of the scammers have the ability that they will call people and say they're from us. And corporations, large company, they don't care about you. They're not going to call you. The only time a large company will call you is if they have a reason to. So be
Like you owe 'em
mindful.
money.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that. Um, Set up the alerts on your cell phone so that so if you do see a large transaction happen, it alerts you. Um, Watch out for the phone scams. People are awful, and they will call you and they will tell you everything that and it's not hard. And don't blame yourself. It does happen, but it happens there. It happens a lot. My poor dad, one of the smartest people I know. Um, he had extended warranty times seven on his 15-year-old truck.
Yeah. I get those all the time.
Yeah, but my dad would pay for it. He was elderly. He was in his 80s, and he would just be like, "Sure, I need an extended warranty," and he would stack them. Be mindful of that, and remember, these people have every incentive. This also goes back to those carting days. I had every incentive to make you give me another $5. Therefore, I'd make you give me another $5.
Right.
So that's the best advice. Now everyone's going to tell you, make sure you have a firewall and all that. And of course, with your modern day computer, if you're at home, most likely you have a firewall. I mean, because you get your little box from your ISP, your ISP sets it up. All of that's already a firewall. Some people will tell you got to have antivirus and all of that stuff, or you got to have security control. Most of it is just fake.
Can you? I know you and I had talked about this little flipper and how that
Yeah. Oh
could
yeah,
like
Flipper.
get your like your key fob
Hmm.
frequency, your garage door
Oh
frequency.
yeah. Oh yeah, stuff like that. There's a device out there you can look at it, Flipper. Which with Flipper I could sit there and record your key fob and find the synchronization of your key fob and get the ability to start your car, open your garage doors. There's numerous things with the Linux box. I can break into your Wi-Fi. Another thing about that is that when you start looking around from, if you pick up a USB cord in the parking lot, that could also be a Wi-Fi transmitter I could use to break into your phone and pull all the information off your phone. If you're traveling overseas and you use a kiosk that has a phone charger, you are basically giving them carte blanche to do whatever they want with your phone. They, they're, you know, the just ordering stuff. You got to be careful, even just ordering parts and stuff, because today's world with computers, and I mean, then our own government's doing stuff. Uh, Botnets. I mean, you go one site and you get a botnet, then all of a sudden your computer's a zombie. It could be, and I mean, even Symantec, they wrote out their antivirus protection that underneath it was using your computer to mine Bitcoin for Symantec.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, so with Flipper Zero and with the technology advances, especially like with USB cables and USB thumb drives, when you look at what happened in Iran, remember we got their nuclear, their and broke into their nuclear enrichment facility. That was done with a thumb drive. We had
Right.
dropped a thumb drive, and someone picked it up, and we infected their entire thing, and was able to break into all their computers off the thumb drive.
Yeah. And what was the name of it?
Oh gosh, I can't remember
It
now.
was like Kylie's birthday party photos.
Yeah, 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 something like that. Yeah, it was some random name. It was either that or probably porn, one of the two. But either way, they were doing it. And when I was doing for critical infrastructure, that was what I would do. Is when I would go up to the PCs, I would go into what's called basic input and output, and I would disable all USB ports, and then hit them with a hot glue gun to fill them in, just to make sure that someone didn't come in with a stray USB drive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's stuff like that. I have actually took where I took wire cutters and cut USB ports off of the computer itself at the motherboard level, because it's such, these things seem like innocent things. Oh, look, there's a USB port. I wonder if it's got pictures on it or something. Pick it up, put it in your computer, infected. Um, 90% of this stuff is you is going to prevent that. Don't use straight, don't plug in these stray USB things. Don't just, look at a USB cable that's been dropped on the ground and say, "Oh, I could use that at home." Don't just, don't trust that people are not trying to get into you, because again, th- if they can get $5 more, they'll go for it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, so I'll always carry, what is it called? What's the name of the USB cable for yourself? It's got clean. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, clean, sterile, or yeah, I know what you
Sterile
mean.
USB.
Yeah,
Yeah, where
yeah,
it's your cords, you know where it come from,
yeah.
and don't use charging
Cables.
anywhere,
Yeah.
cables anywhere. And what
Or
do you think?
plugging your own into a kiosk. So
And
a
like,
hacker
yeah,
could put it up and have their own block that could break into your stuff.
and what do you think about like cutting Bluetooth off if you travel abroad? Does that help?
NFC is another big one, and there's a big scam going on around right now that where your phone will bing and say you just sent $5, and what it was is using NFC, and it doesn't really happen, but it's a trick that's going around. I think that's one of the ones that's going around on TikTok. But by all means, USB, Bluetooth, NFC, all of these things put yourself at risk. And those, like I said, those you got to come into someone that really wants to do that sort of stuff. It happens rarely, but it does. Uh, NFC is the big one on that. Bluetooth is also, or just attaching to stray Wi-Fi's. But there comes a point where we have to do is we got to look at things and go, modern convenience require modern actions. you know,
You're right.
I mean, but at the same time, we got to make sure that we're not too scared to just live our life. You know, so that's where it comes, and you got to find that balance between everything.
I think it'd be best with no cell phone.
Oh yeah. So I mean, but unfortunately, myself, I won't even get rid of my. I got rid of. I don't want Facebook. I don't want Instagram. I don't want TikTok. I don't want X. I don't want any of these things, because here's the thing about those apps. those apps are doing nothing but stealing your information and selling it to you don't know who for what reason.
And getting rich. Yeah.
And getting rich. So, I mean, I'm not going to judge anyone that has those apps, but just remember the purpose of those apps, especially with Facebook and Meta. They dig so deep into your phone and to your, applications that they try to get as much details of every site you go to, what you go to, and use that information to try to sell you more or make you click more. And I believe right now, currently in the United States, especially, is that people are unwell because they're comparing themselves to a reality that doesn't exist.
Right. And, I know with Facebook, I only have Facebook now
Mhm.
for the ministry. And,
Mhm.
and I think we have various platforms. And
Yeah.
that's the only reason that I have it is to spread
Mhm.
God's word. And,
Mhm.
but I do remember now I use DuckDuckGo for like
Yeah.
a browser. And
I
every
have a
time
server for
it
it.
it, it blocks.
Yeah.
And Facebook is one of the ones that gets every single time it blocks. I
Mhm.
didn't even have Facebook then.
Yeah. One of the things I use now, if you're into computers, look up self-hosting. Use Pi-hole that blocks DNS queries network wide, so that when you're on my Wi-Fi, you lose a lot of the ads. You remember when I was joining this, I had problems joining.
Yeah,
Pi-hole will block a lot of the sites that you deemed, you can pull down lists that people have correlated that say these are bad sites, and sometimes they get it wrong, but most of the time they get it right. And I use Pi-hole to block all of those queries. I'll also use techniques where my TV, another thing that people don't really understand is Internet of Things, which would be you, your fridge doesn't need a computer system in it. Your TV,
right,
smart TVs. I mean, every smart TV is produced. They got microphones on them that can listen to what you're asking and what you're saying. And again, all of that data is being sent to somebody for you what reason you don't know. Usually to give you more ads or to sell it to somebody else. And we live in a modern world, but the people that are using those technology advantage are not using them for any other reason than to make themselves rich.
right. And if y'all think that that sounds crazy with the TVs, that
Hmm.
actually came out with that Snowden guy,
Hmm.
and he talked about that. Yeah, so it's legit.
Yeah, and I mean, so I mean, when you want to really get into cybersecurity, so in your network, on my network, I have my work separated from my home, and then all my Internet of Things in a network that is blocked from accessing the internet, other than certain channels that have to have it, like for my movies and stuff like that. I'll also self-host my own Google that uses a back end, so my search engines are kept local. When I search something, it's kept local to me, and it uses DuckDuckGo on the back end. I also use VPNs to obscure what my location is. And I'm not a bad person. I just believe that this is my information. So I use VPNs to obscure that, and it's just clean presence. I don't need my TV tracking where my phones goes.
Right, true.
So stuff like that. And these are things that you can look into and take into yourself. But the more data is being collected, you know, the more it can be used against you.
And that's great information for most people that
Hmm.
may be listening to this that have no idea. You know what I mean? And just from a religion standpoint and from the message that I'm given, you know, um, is just self-preservation really.
Hmm.
And you have to, even though you're faithful to and you're a Christian and you're a believer, you can't walk through the world with your eyes closed. Like, these people ain't out here trying to get
Hmm.
and that's why Jesus says they're wolves in sheep's clothing and they lay out snares for you. And it's everything that we need to live is in that book, in the Bible. So I really appreciate you being on here.
Yeah.
And dude, every time we talk, I enjoy it and I always learn something.
Hmm.
I
Oh, dude,
do.
that's perfect, man. That's fine. I mean, maybe we could do it again.
Oh, we can.
You know where I live.
Yeah. All right, man. Well,
All right.
I'm
Well,
gonna
I'll
go ahead and
drop
end
off.
this.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and drop off, and you can finish up with your finishing comments, and I'll
Okay.
talk to you later, Burry.
All
All
right,
right, have
man.
a
I
good one.
appreciate it. See you,
All
buddy.
right, bye.
Bye bye. Okay, everybody. So I hope that you all can use that info to better your life. Hopefully, there was enough people watching where it can help you. This gentleman, not to put his business out there, doesn't necessarily believe he does, but he doesn't. He's super intelligent, and he did slip up with one word, but the man usually, again, like Dan when he did his podcast, I mean, I'm not going to censor them because I'm, you know, if I make them afraid to talk to me or they feel stifled or censored. Now he did out of respect for me and for you, knowing it's a ministry podcast. He honestly he slipped up that once, but knowing how he normally talks, which is like me, he he really changed the way he talked, and that's all we can ask. And I've said that before. So take everything he said and use it and listen to him, and put that into practice. And the man is does well for himself, and it is legitimate. I can attest to that. He gives away everything that he grows, and he's getting hassled for these chickens, and I like them. If y'all remember that picture I posted or that video, it was of the chickens eating out of my hand, and those were his chickens. I mean, they're great. I love chickens anyway. I think they're funny. Maybe it's because they don't have arms, and somehow you think they should. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I hope you all took some lessons out of all that stuff, and if you were paying attention, you could really he was given the message that's in the Bible himself. We didn't really have to circle back to it too much, and he's talking about feeding the needy, and and caring for people that don't necessarily care for you, and people that are out there to trip you up. You can't walk through life with your eyes closed. Keep your eyes open and stay in your Bible and learn to love people that are unlovable. And I struggle with that myself. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and we'll have him back on. And I'd really like to have him and Dan together. I probably wouldn't understand a word they're saying. They're both way smarter than I am. But you all have a great um, night and stay safe this weekend. If you are close to my area, the Narrowway Independent Baptist Church will be open for service at 11 a.m. is when it starts, and Sunday night is at 6:30. So if y'all want to come, you're more than welcome. You'll be treated like family. We're a small church, so all we're concerned with is spreading the word of Jesus Christ. I love all of y'all, and I hope y'all have a great night. Love in Christ.